Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. I'm smiling as I'm saying this now if you're watching the video, because this is now, I think it was the fourth try for me to get through this. I didn't have cameras turned on. I mucked up my introduction, but all of that will be removed by the amazing Jason. In today's episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, I want to talk with you a little bit about what I think is the biggest missing link in most of your videos. Now, this missing link has a huge impact, proportionally huge. You could have made a fabulous video with really wonderful, helpful content, but if you're missing this important part, firstly, you're less likely to be stopping people in the scroll as they're thumbing their way through Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And then if they do start to watch a video, they're less likely to get pulled all the way through it. If they're not watching all of your video, or at least a good chunk of it, we have less opportunity to have that person know us, like us, and trust us. Remember a couple of episodes ago, I talked about the golden rule that, in essence, the whole purpose of our marketing is to have more people knowing us, liking us, and trusting us. In psychology, there's a concept called the mere exposure effect. Mere as in M-E-R-E. And simply, it kind of says this, that the more we're exposed to somebody, the more likable they are. The interesting thing about this is that when they're talking about exposures, that exposure can almost be subconscious. So they've done a number of internet studies where people are kind of browsing the internet and there's pop-up ads that are showing that they're not even really aware of. But then later on, when they're asked to kind of rate likability, whether they would do business with these companies, they tend to choose the ones of those ads that they've seen in the background. So if we want more people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you, we've got to be visible to them, or at least be present more often. Now, this missing element gets in the way of that, and I'm going to tell you what that is in a moment. But first, what I want to do is I want to tell you a story. In the 1980s, a book was released. It was called Astrological Love. What do you think it was about? Now, from that title, here's part of the downfall of why this book was a complete failure. Nobody kind of really knew what astrological love was. I mean, I still don't know what the author was possibly referring to. Is it about falling in love with the stars? Anyway, the book was a complete failure. A number of years later, another publisher got a hold of the book. Somebody had a bit of a read through it. And in reading through it, they went, this book is actually fabulous. It just had a really lousy title. It wasn't marketed well. And the story in around the book just wasn't got out to the wider audience there too. They rebranded the book, and the book became an almost instant bestseller. It was a New York Times bestseller multiple times over, I've been told. Here's what the new title was: How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. Let me say that again. It went from astrological love to how to satisfy a woman every time and have her beg for more. Now, we're told growing up that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but the truth of the matter is that we do this all the time. It's a neurological part of our brain. We're forming opinions really quickly of all things around us. We're looking for things that might help us. We're looking for safety, but we're also looking for danger. And so we do judge a book by a cover. Our videos, when we're making them, are being judged. My podcasts are, the titles are, all those kind of things. And so very often you're making this wonderful content, but we're not wrapping it in the way that it ought to be wrapped. We're not telling the story the way it ought to have been told. The reason that Tiffany's can charge 3 times the amount for their diamond rings is there's a story. It's marketing, okay? The diamond industry is one that fascinates me because a Tiffany's diamond ring can be exactly the same as that. We can rate it in terms of color and color and cut and clarity. This is what happens when I have a coffee immediately before recording. I get a bit excited, I go too fast. But again, what I'm saying here is you can have 2 diamonds exactly the same, but the one in the Tiffany's box gets charged a lot more because of the story that goes around it. So what I want to talk with you about here is how do we wrap your video in a new story, in a better story that's going to have people much more likely to engage with your content, much more likely to want to watch all the way through, giving you more opportunity to build that know, like, and trust. Now, here's something I want you to understand. The first 6 seconds of your video is incredibly important. You can't afford to start your video off with ums and ahs. You can't even afford to start your videos off with introducing yourself, okay? The goal of your video when you start is really simple. You need to hook somebody. You need to grab their attention, okay? You need to give them a reason to continue to watch. What I want to share with you now is some phrases, is some ways that you can actually go about getting that attention. How do I go about hooking that attention? I'm going to share 8 tried and tested attention-grabbing hooks. Now, if you've studied marketing at all, this word hook might not be a new word to you. A hook is just a phrase. As a general rule, it's a phrase that's likely to really get attention. One of the things it talks about a lot getting in terms of with that retention is often curiosity, and we'll talk about curiosity with hook number 1 or 2 in there as well. But these are marketing type sort of frameworks that we're going to talk about. And when we take exactly the amazing video that you've just created, but we kind of wrap it in this way, in the same way that when we rebranded and we rewrapped Astrological Love into its new title, it became a bestseller. So let's work our way through 8 of these tried and tested attention-grabbing hooks. Have that be the introduction to our video, and I'll give you some different examples. And then I want you to try this next time that you're making a video as well. Now, a word of warning before I get into this. When we're talking about these hooks, all of our videos need to be backed up with great content. If we're telling somebody that we're going to share a 3-step process to improving your posture, if you don't have 3 really great steps, it doesn't matter, okay? You'll get their attention surely for the first 10 or 15 seconds. But if we don't deliver the goods, it actually does our brand a disservice. It actually removes trust. So for all of these examples I'm going to give you, it has to be backed up by the goods, okay? I'm assuming that that's what you're going to be doing there too. The first framework or hook, and you're going to see me use those words interchangeably, hook and framework, they're the same kind of thing I'm referring to, is use numbers. Numbers are a really powerful way to get the attention of our audience, okay? In this particular video and podcast, now I just talked before that we're going to go through 8 tried and tested attention-grabbing hooks. That in itself is a hook. So numbers, it could be this, the 3 secrets to headache relief without medication. It could be 5 steps to better posture. It could be 7 breakfast mistakes that are robbing you of energy. These are all examples of what we would refer to as number hooks. We see them all the time in front of magazines, newspapers. They're all over the social media platforms. The reason they're everywhere is because they really work. The number framework is incredibly engaging. And the thing I really like about the number framework also is it's like you're teaching somebody. It helps them know where the audience is in the journey. We're step 1, 2, 3. That in itself helps to pull people in. I'm often asked a question, is there a number that's kind of magical? I hear odd numbers are better than even numbers. I've never read anything that suggests that's the case. When I'm giving guidance with regards to what numbers we should be using, just keep your numbers short. You don't have room to be going through 15 tips in your 3-minute videos. Although I know large numbers work because I see them on the cover of magazines all the time. Cosmopolitan and Better Homes and Gardens, they're 2 of the more popular magazines, 2 of the best-selling magazines of all time, so those 2. And in Better Homes and Gardens, I'll often see, 105 summer gardening tips. On Cosmopolitan, we might see, 42 ways to find out whether he loves you, or 75 new summer hairstyles. You get the gist there too. So big numbers absolutely work. But most of the time, our videos are going to be short, and it needs to kind of match. Remember, we've got to make sure that we're delivering the goods. Okay, framework number 1 is use numbers. Super powerful. The second is curiosity. In fact, curiosity and an element of curiosity should probably go through all of the videos that you're creating. And you'll notice in amongst these 8 hooks, there'll be some overlap that we will have within them as well. So you'll notice that in some of these curiosity ones I'll talk about at the moment, they'll also have names in them as well. One of the ways for you to really get curiosity is with an unexpected statement. So an unexpected statement could be something like this. What do chiropractors do when they get back pain? So it's like, chiropractors are meant to help people with back pain. I wonder what they do when they get back pain. That would start to pull a certain level of curiosity. Here's another statement that might bring out a level of curiosity. What have I told you that you don't need 8 hours of sleep every night? All these videos going on at the moment, when they're talking about sleep, we're all talking about 8 hours sleep. Now, if I'm going to take a contrary opinion to that, if it's an unexpected statement, that's going to bring out a level of curiosity. You can bet if somebody's interested about sleep, or the first one has some back pain, they're probably going to stop on that video and want to dive a little bit deeper. Now, there's 3 other words that I think really start to create that level of curiosity. I like the words secrets, surprising, and simple. So here's how I could use those 3 words. 5 secrets to better, what is it? Posture, better night's sleep, better digestive system, or surprising could be this. This surprising stretch eases neck pain. So the fact that we've used secrets and surprising and then simple, this simple technique relieves bunions. Those words, secrets, surprising, and simple, are really great ways for you to stimulate a level of curiosity. So whenever you can, make sure you're adding curiosity into the videos. Mistakes is the 3rd framework I want to take you through. I love this mistakes one. I put it in, it's often the headlines that I will share. in my podcast episodes, in the emails that I send out there too, and the videos that I create. It's a framework, again, that we see all the time because it's so incredibly effective. I think the reason that it's so powerful and has such an impact on the brain is that our brain, we want to look for mistakes, because there was a time, certainly as when we were cavemen and women, that what the mistake actually meant is that it could have meant the difference between life and death, whether we stayed with our tribe or we were kicked out of our tribe. And so when I hear that word mistake, I want to learn from it. I want to know, am I making this mistake? Is it likely to lead to life or death? Is it likely to lead to me being kind of pushed away from the tribe? So it's a really, really powerful framework to use, is the mistakes one. Here's 3 examples. Are you making these shoulder rehab mistakes? Or 3 mistakes that are preventing you from ending your back pain. And then finally, it could be 5 mistakes that people make when they're buying probiotics. So if you're going to be making a video, let's say that you're making a video about fish oils, instead of just teaching about fish oils, talk about the mistakes that people make with fish oils. Then tell them what they need to do to correct these mistakes. It can be virtually the same video that you're going to create before when you're talking about the benefits of fish oils, but wrapping it in this framework, the mistakes framework, is going to make it way more engaging, much more likely to stop the scroll, much more likely to have people watch all the way through. And you guessed it, more people will know you, like you, and trust you. We should use superlatives more often in our video titles, and particularly in the introduction of our videos. What's a superlative, I hear you asking? Best or worst, longest, shortest, highest, lowest, fastest, slowest. These words are superlatives. What might they look like at the beginning of our video? It could be this. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the worst thing that you can do when stretching your back. Simply that. If I had that as a title for my video, and if that was my introduction sentence there, instead of starting off with ums or ahs or, hey there, this is Angus from Life Chiropractic in Port Melbourne, I'm getting straight to the point. I'm telling them, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the worst thing that you can be doing when stretching your back. Or I could be saying, the best thing to do as soon as you get a headache. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Nobody does this. When you follow this one step here, it's likely to help your headache ease, sometimes very quickly. So the best, and then again here, the fastest way to improve your fertility. So superlatives are a great framework for you to use. Best, worst, longest, shortest, highest, lowest, fastest, slowest. These are just examples of superlatives that you should be using. One of the fabulous frameworks, hooks that you should be using, is this concept of new. Okay, new is so, we love new. It's, again, another one of those things too, that when we're looking for new things, bright, shiny objects, so many of us, myself included here, get distracted by the new all the time. When we're positioning the information that we're sharing as a new discovery, it can create enormous amounts of curiosity and engagement. So it could be this, the new type of magnesium for athletes. This brand new discovery helps mums lose weight. And the third one, this new method helps runners with knee injuries. So if you are looking at the research, if you found a new and different way to go about helping somebody get a result, then just having that word new in the title of your video and saying that word new in the first couple of words, couple of sentences of your video is a great framework. On the new side of things, one of the things that we should and need to be really careful about is making people wrong. Often there's a tendency for us, particularly as natural health practitioners, we have polarized opinions on how people should eat, move, think, rest, look after their health in general, take drugs, not take drugs. God forbid we talk about that word vaccination there too, but often what comes across with the videos that we're making is that we make people wrong. When we make people wrong, it really repels them. Nobody wants to be made wrong. Like, very few of us have the self-esteem that we can cope with being made wrong and then go, I get it. You're right. I'll listen to you instead. If I have the choice of me being wrong and you being right, or me being right and you being wrong, guess which one I'm going to choose most of the time? You guessed it, I'm going to make me right and you wrong. Now, one way that we can get around that is that we can tell them, hey, listen, here's a new and different way. So instead of saying, hey, Angus, you're wrong, I just go, buddy, here's a new and different way. And that stimulates a very different part of my brain. It doesn't get my defense mechanisms up. I don't want to be wrong, but I love new and different, okay? So that should be one of the frameworks that you absolutely should be using. Number 6, I touched on this before, is that you should be talking research, and you should be using that word research at the beginning. Research is a powerful way for us to build credibility and add authority to our videos there as well. If we want people to trust us, then we should be sharing research and communicating it in a way that simplifies things. So here's 3 really simple headlines and opening sentences that you could have in your videos, okay? Could be this: prestigious medical journal recommends headache sufferers see a chiropractor, or research shows a 45% improvement in fertility when taking this supplement, or this startling study has researchers doing a complete backflip on their recommendations for allergy sufferers. Now, I just made all three of those headlines up. They're probably true. It seems to me that everybody should be seeing a chiropractor, and supplements probably do help your fertility, and but I'm making those up. But I think you're seeing the point of it. Using research or a research framework in your headlines in the beginning of your videos and the structure of your videos there is a great way for you to add authority and credibility. Number 7, a really simple, incredibly powerful one, is this framework of how to get a desired result. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to improve your posture. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to decrease indigestion. Or in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to balance your hormones. Get straight into it. How to content is such a great way. Again, one of the things that we want to be doing with our videos is transformation, getting somebody one step closer to the health outcome that they're looking for. How to content really helps that. Some of the videos that you should be making should be using that framework exactly. The final one is a really fun one to play with, is celebrity, okay? When we can piggyback off the attention that celebrity gets, this can be a great way to increase the engagement of our videos. So here's 3 examples here. How Tim Ferriss fixed his back pain. Again, what The Rock eats to stay lean. And then finally, what supplements does Kendall Jenner take? Now, when you're thinking about piggybacking or jumping on riding the wave of a celebrity, make sure the celebrity that you're referring to is one that your audience would know. Kendall Jenner, when I was putting this together for one of my trainings recently, she's one of the Kardashians, but I don't understand why she doesn't have a Kardashian last name. I had to kind of Google how to spell Kendall. I should ask. So my wife, Lauren, and daughter, Mackenzie, are much more likely to know. I should ask those questions. Anyway, here's what I'm saying. Kendall Jenner wouldn't get my attention, but Tim Ferriss absolutely would. So if you're going to piggyback on the authority, on the celebrity of somebody, make sure that celebrity would make sense with your audience. These are 8 tried and tested attention-grabbing hooks. The next time that you're going to go about creating a video, what I want you to do is I want you to think, how can I wrap it in one of these hooks? Now this hook, this statement inside of here should be mentioned probably within the first sentence or 2. So it could be just as simple as, in this video today, I'm going to share, I'm going to teach, you're going to learn, I'm going to talk about, and then jump into it. Hey, in this video today, I'm going to talk about how Tim Ferriss got rid of his back pain. There we are. That attention grabbing, its hook, it's going to stop me. And if you can continue to deliver from there on, and in future videos, we'll talk about how to deliver from there on. But if we start with a hook, we've got the very best landing strip. Is a landing strip, takeoff strip? It's a takeoff strip. That's what we're doing to make sure that we get the most out of it. Remember that book I talked about to begin with, From Astrological Love all the way into whatever the title was. I've forgotten what it is now. So clearly it didn't have all that much of an impact on me. I've got to remind myself, don't have a big strong coffee before starting my episode from here as well. Right, that's it. Summary from this episode is quite simply this. The missing element in so many of your videos is an engaging title, is an engaging hook, a framework from here as well. This might be one. In fact, I'm going to encourage you that you actually listen to it many times. Maybe get a pen and paper out, write down those 8 different hooks that I talked about there. Work out which one makes sense for what you're about to talk to. Make sure you can back it up. Don't be making stuff up. Making stuff up never works, never helps you build authority. It won't help more people know you, like you, and trust you. Gang, until next time, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. The one thing that the coffee does do is it does make me feel a little bit lovey at the moment. I'm feeling full of love. I've had a beautiful morning this morning. I love and appreciate all of you guys, like a lot, heaps and heaps. I know many of you have got tricky, wacky, confusing things happening at the moment. Many of my Melbourne, Victoria brothers and sisters at the moment aren't allowed to practice. We're in lockdown, all those kind of things. And I want you to know, I think you're ace. I love you. Hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. See you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.